everyone, in this video we'll be covering the first and second question types, the factual and negative factual questions. We put them together because they follow almost the same strategy and also because according to the book that we will be using for homework, they have the same homework pages assigned. So we're going to begin with the factual question. What's the important thing about the factual question is that the answer is always in the text, okay? This is very important. Remember the principle of not bringing outside information and the only information existing being the information in the text? Well, this principle becomes very clear and very obvious in this factual question. Now, as you may have noticed, and those of you who haven't noticed, the word factual comes from fact. So what we're looking for are facts. And remember, facts are things that are, right? So a fact is not an opinion. A fact is not a consideration. A fact is not an inference. A fact is something that is. And this is going to be very important. And remember, we're going to apply the principle of only the information in text existent, because a fact is going to be a fact according to the text, not a fact according to reality. Remember, don't bring outside information. It's not a fact according to what you have read at home or you may have learned at school. It's a fact according to what says in the text. Okay, what does the question look like? The question will mostly use about some variation of according. So according to the passage, according to the author, according to information in a specific paragraph, or another variation of what does the author say about this or that. So they're going to use very straightforward words like according to or what does the author say, not any other word like they're not going to make you infer, they're not going to use the word probable or probably or any other word. Okay, what should we do? We're going to read the question first, again, just to see what question type it is. And once we notice that it's a factual question, we're going to find the specific words, specific keywords in the question. And then we're going to scan, don't read, we're going to scan the text to find the specific words, the specific keywords that we just found in the question. And then we're going to see what the text says about those specific keywords. Again, when we scan, we're going to use synonyms because maybe the specific word as it is not in the text. Maybe it's a synonym, right? Maybe it's another word that has a related meaning, but the overall idea will be in the text. And finally, we're going to eliminate the wrong answers. We're going to eliminate the wrong choices, okay? Okay, what we don't want to do, we don't want to assume, okay? It is what it is. Remember, if the text says it is, if the text doesn't say it, it isn't. This is very important. We don't want to draw to any conclusions. We're just going to take the information in the text as it is. We don't want to autocorrect, which means we don't want to say, yeah, it's not saying that, but I think the author actually meant this other thing. No, the author meant what it said, especially in the factual question. Here is just what it is, okay? We're not helping it. We're not going to add our words. We're definitely not going to infer. That's for another question type. Do not be on a specific. Again, if the question asks you for what does the author usually eat on Sunday, you do not switch it for Saturday and Sunday. If it's just asking for Sunday, you just answer for Sunday. And definitely do not try to understand everything you read. Okay, remember, we don't care. We don't care about understanding the whole idea in the whole passage. We just care about answering the question. This is a principle that is going to be present in all the reading sections, actually in all the TOEFL, but especially in the reading. We don't care. Okay, now we're going to do some practice. I'm going to show you this question type. Okay, again, read the question first. Okay, and try to provide an answer. I'm going to give you 1 minute for this. You can pause it or you can speed it up if you don't want to wait for 1 minute. But I'm gonna put my stopwatch on 1 minute. Go. Okay, I hope you have an answer. And remember, if by this time you don't have an answer, just provide any answer. Okay. This is a timing thing. Don't pressure yourself too much with your time at the beginning. I just gave you a minute. If you need more time, just go back or pause the video right now and take all the time you need in order to get an answer. But remember, always provide an answer. So if you notice you stop this video and, well, you haven't heard that, but if you notice that you're spending like 5 minutes in just one question, there's something wrong, right? You're no longer solving it. You're just wasting time. So always provide an answer. Okay, we're going to analyze the alternatives. Okay, and remember, this is a factual question, so all the alternatives have to be, or the right alternative has to be in the text. If it's not my answer. So we're going to analyze the first one. They were brought from South America. So brought from South America. And we go to a text, and it does say, okay, that they came from, with the Hanau EP from South America. So it does mention that they come from South America, okay? Okay, we found this. We're going to hold on for a moment. And maybe you notice that we want to be specific, right? So what does the question say specifically? Says, according to modern theory, how the sweet potato seed come to Easter Island. And then we have that they came from South America, okay? But that someone believed that they came from South America. Okay, we're going to leave it there for a moment, and then we're going to go to letter B. Says they were washed up by waves. By waves, sorry. Now, where in the text do they mention either waves, the word waves, or the fact of being washed up? And it's nowhere. Nowhere in the text they mention either the word waves or any variation of word waves, like sea movements or anything. And they never mention anything about being washed up. Okay. We're going to go to the third one. It says they were brought by Westerners in 1722. Again, whenever you look at a date, at a specific date, meaning a number, it has to be specific, right? So this is very specific. So the date should be in the text. Now, where in the text is that date? Is nowhere in the text. And it's definitely no mention to being brought by Westerners. But again, we don't want to go the long way. So as soon as you see a number, you try to find the number in the text. And if it's not, that's not my answer. Remember the process of elimination that we saw in a previous video? If it's not the right word, it's not my answer. Whatever the other part of the alternative says is not my answer. And we're going to go to the last alternative. They were transported by seabirds, and we find information on the last line of the paragraph. It says most scientists believe that they were transported in the stomachs of seabirds. We have seabirds. Now, how do we know? We're between A and D, right? Because we found those two things in the passage. We found the fact that they were brought from South America, and we found the fact that they were transported by seabirds. But how do we know then which one is the answer? Because again, both are literally in the passage, but still one of them is wrong. So in order to know, we're going to look for the specific keyword. So the question specifically asks for modern theory. Now, if we go to letter A, okay, we see that who believed that it came from Hanau EP was another person, Thor Heyerdahl, okay? And if we go to letter D, it says that most scientists now believe, so the word now will be referring to modern theory. Okay, so modern theory, scientists now believe. Again, if you notice, we're not looking literally the word modern and the word theory in the text. We're looking for most scientists now believe, and then we're kind of matching that to the fact that it's modern theory. Now, another reason why it's not the first one, even though, okay, maybe Thor Heyerdahl is modern. How do we know that it's not that? Because all the verbs are in past. What does it mean? That we have he believed in the past that it came, that's not wrong, right? But he believed in the past. So there is no mention of he still believing that in the present. And definitely there is no mention of a modern theory being that. And that's how we're going to solve the factual question. Okay, now we're going to go for the negative factual question. The negative factual question has the opposite principle. If in the factual question the answer is always in the text, the negative factual question, the answer is never in the text. Okay, and we're going to see how we apply this principle for the negative factual question. What does the question look like? The question looks like this. According to the passage, all the following are true except, or which one is not mentioned, or which one is the least likely. Again, the word that indicates the negative aspect will be in capitals and will be in boldface. So there is still a chance that you may overlook it and mistake this for a factual question, but they will try their best not to make you confuse this to a factual question. Okay, so you will always be on the lookout for the words except, not, least, etc. Okay, what do we want to do? We want to read the question first. Notice that we are dealing with a negative factual question again, and noticing the negative word. We're going to find the specific words just like in the factual question, the now, the modern theory, the birds. We're going to scan those words. We're going to go to the specific place in the passage after scanning, and we're going to find the specific words in the passage. Now, what is the difference? Okay, the difference is that in this case, we're gonna go through alternative by alternative, and all the alternatives that are in the passage, okay, are going to be wrong, which means this is a negative factual, right? The question is all of the following are except. So we have 4 alternatives. So all of the following, meaning maybe 1, 2, and 3, except D, which means D, which is the exception, will be my answer. So the one that is not in the passage, the one that is never in the text, will actually be the answer for the negative factual question. Okay, what we do not want to do, we don't want to assume, just like with the factual question, we don't add the extra information. We don't want to autocorrect. We want to say, maybe the author wanted to say this. No, the author wanted to say what the author said. Don't want to be specific. We definitely don't want to read the whole passage, and we definitely don't want to understand everything we read. Okay, we're going to do some practice. Again, I'm going to show you, actually this time I'm going to show you the question first. This one is a long example, so I'm going to show you the question first. Okay, and I'm going to ask you to maybe take a screenshot or take a photo of this, because otherwise you won't be able to see the passage. Okay, take a screenshot or a photo, and then I'm going to give you 1 minute to look for the alternatives in the passage. Okay, go to the passage, and I'm going to give you 1 minute. Go. Okay, thumbs up. I hope you have an answer. Remember, if you don't have an answer and you need more time, just take more time. But remember, don't give yourselves too much time before you have an answer, and always give an answer. Okay, we're going to analyze the alternatives one by one, because that's the way we solve it. So A says, a bird that is affected by behavioral barriers, and we find, we're going to go to the specific passage that talks about behavioral barriers. Okay, remember we want behavioral barriers, and we find behavioral barriers in the first passage. Actually, I think it's the third passage. We find the bird, the Kirkland's warblers. Okay, so this is the specific bird that is affected by behavioral barriers, so it is in the passage. Okay, I have a note here. How do you know that a Kirkland warbler is a bird? We may not know that it's a bird, because I actually don't know what type of bird this is. But in the same sentence, it says that the Kirkland warblers, blah, 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 they fly to the Bahamas in the winter. Okay, so we know that it's a bird. Also, in the previous sentence, they say they are talking about birds that fly long distances. Okay, so now we have those 2 reasons to make us understand that a Kirkland warbler is a bird. Again, this is important. This is why we don't really care about what type of bird the Kirkland warbler is. And actually, we don't need the vocabulary of what all the animals are, because we can get it from the context. Of course, there are certain words that you cannot get from context because they are basic words that we are supposed to know. Okay, we're going to look at alternative B, an aquatic animal that is blocked by physical barriers. So we go to physical barriers, the physical barriers passage, and we look for, and we do not find any aquatic animal, right? We don't find the aquatic animal. Again, we do find a mention to water, but we definitely don't find any mention to an aquatic animal. So that may be our answer. Now we're going to go to C, and we find a land animal that is affected by behavioral barriers. Again, we go to the behavioral barrier passage, and we find the spotted salamander. And now we know that the spotted salamander is our example. Now again, I'm assuming you know what a salamander is, but let's say we don't know what a salamander is. Let's say we don't know what kind of animal this is. So how on earth are we supposed to know whether this is a land animal? Maybe it's an aquatic animal. So how do we know? Because we know that they live on mountain slopes. Okay, so if they live on mountain slopes, they are not living in the river, they're not living in the sea. So we know that it's not an aquatic animal. We know it's a land animal. Again, we didn't even need to know what animal the spotted salamander is. Of course, it's easier if we do know, it's easier if we do have the vocabulary, but you can always use the context to get out of the way without knowing it. Now we're going to see the last one, a tree that has spread by means of a corridor. And when we find that the Engelmann spruce here in the passage that's talking about a corridor is the example of the tree that's spread by means of a corridor. Again, I don't know whether this is a tree or not. How should I know? How on earth would I know that it's a tree? Because it says various types of tree, and then we have a keyword such as. That transition leaves us to know that this is a type of tree, because we say types of trees such as, okay? And this is how we know. So this is in the text. So which one is not in the text? The only one that it's not in the text, okay, was letter B, the aquatic animal. Now, remember, everything has to match here. Why is it so important? Because the specific question is provide a specific example. Right? So if you notice, I'm not saying, when I provide example, I'm not just saying birds in general fly. I'm saying these birds, these kind of birds, the Kirkland warblers. I'm not saying that animals in general do it. I'm saying this specific animal, the spotted salamander. When I ask me for a specific example, they give me a specific example. If they say a specific tree, they don't say just trees. They tell me exactly the name of a type of tree that has this, because they are asking for a specific example, not just a sample, a specific example. Why am I stressing this so much? Because when you do your speaking section, when you do the speaking part of the test, we ask for specific examples, and you have to provide specific examples. So if I ask you for a specific example of a day in which you were very happy, you don't just say, oh yeah, I was very happy some days. You say, on Tuesday at 3 p.m. or from 3 to 5, I was very happy because I ate ice cream. Like, you go down to earth, and you are as specific as you can. Okay. Now we're going to do some more practice, okay? And if you want to do homework, I advise you that you use the THOMSON book. Again, I gave you the link in the first video, in the first TOEFL series video, but I can provide the link again in the description of this video. And I want you to do the THOMSON book exercise 1.2 from pages 35 to 47. I'm going to show you how the book looks like. It looks like this. This is exercise 1.2, and you will have a passage, a very long passage. Again, try not to do this in class and just do it alone at home. And then you're going to go to solve the questions. These are TOEFL question type like. So you're going to have a question and alternatives, A, B, C, D. You're going to solve all of them. And you're going to do all the question types are factual and negative factual for different passages. You're going to do them all. Okay, and the answer key will also be in the file that I'm sharing. You have the answers there, so you can correct on your own. I want you to just do 1.2. There's a previous exercise that is 1.1. I don't think it's necessary. Now, if you feel you have a lot of time to prepare, you may use it. I still don't recommend it. I recommend that if you do have a lot of time, try to just move on faster with the question types, okay? I will be using this book from now on for all the reading question types, so I'll be assigning homework from this book. If you had any questions, just ask in the comments. Again, all the answers will be in the same link that I'm sharing.